So here, he pilates. Here, here.
Good. Do you feel that MMA in a way has in any way misrepresented jiu-jitsu in a sense, especially in the amateur circuits and the beginning pro circuits, because people have a tendency to, like you said, to embrace the image concept instead of self-actualization, instead of actualizing their own methodologies or using what someone else has taught before them and applying that in a dynamic setting, but stripping away their ego and seeing it as a core. Do you think that people are negatively influenced by MMA in that sense, or more as the fighters themselves having a negative portrayal in their interviews and their media because of a lot of the hype and promotions in it?
Well, you know, and I have different beliefs on this because I've seen varieties of all those. You know, I've seen the MMA guy, the jiu-jitsu guy, who's like he looks basically like a criminal. You know, and then I have the soft-spoken guy, you know, Damian Maya, Haja Gracie. These guys are very humble and very normal. When you meet them, you can talk to them, shake their hand, take pictures with them. As far as, you know, MMA, I think MMA has had a little negative impact on jiu-jitsu in the sense that, you know, when older clients come in, they think that jiu-jitsu is synonymous with MMA, and it's not necessarily so. Yes, you can use jiu-jitsu in MMA, you know, but it doesn't mean that if you're a 50-year-old guy that you want to be getting punched in the face and doing ground and pound, you know. So I tell my clients, the older clients, that, hey, you know, jiu-jitsu, you know, you can do this for a lifetime, man. You know, as long as you take care of yourself and know your limitations and be with a good instructor who can walk you through and don't try to crush you every time, you know, and just take your time with it. But as far as the MMA, yes, people seem to think that, you know, you know, this is going to be a fight club every time, and it's not. You know.
Absolutely.
Okay. And besides jiu-jitsu and family, of course, what is most important to you in life?
To me in life is to be humble, man. Treat people how you want to be treated. Be kind. Be gentle with people. Be good to your family. You know.
And is that some advice you'd give to anybody walking in your doors?
Absolutely. And I tell my guys all the time, man, that because we do jiu-jitsu, we have a certain responsibility to not be a bully, right? Because we're here to build people, and I'm here to build these guys and make them better citizens, of course, better jiu-jitsu guys, and you know, and if I can do that, man, you know, I've done it as a teacher. You know?
So you agree with what Rickson said, for example, when he said that the morals and ethics and philosophies of life go hand in hand with jiu-jitsu. It's not just a standard art of how to hurt people.
Absolutely.
And in fact, if I remember correctly, and I'm not quite sure, so perhaps you could help me with this, but a lot of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu's history and some of the techniques and some of the things were developed obviously by Helio, who was underweight and underclassed in a sense over when it comes to strength. So he made up for it with his mind, and he developed some of these techniques not even in a reason to hurt someone, but to control them to the point that they could be talked to. Would you say that's a correct statement?
Absolutely, absolutely. Elio Gracie, Master Elio Gracie is, you know, I mean, when you think of a guy that's 130 pounds taking on guys who are 220 pounds in a no-holds-barred fight with no gloves and no rules, and you had 300-400 of these, you're definitely onto something.
Yeah, that's
you're either, you know, super talented and a little crazy also, you know. But through that, he's produced some of, you know, some of the greatest, you know, martial artists, you know, the world has seen. And also, he's brought MMA to America indirectly through his son, Jorge Gracie, you know. So, absolutely.
And what advice do you give to your trainers or people that help you instruct?
What I tell them, I mean, when we have meetings, I try to tell them, listen, be gentle with the people. not everybody is a world champion, and not everybody wants to be a world champion. So meet them where they want to come. Meet them in the middle somewhere. You know, don't overdo it, don't underdo it. Just find that medium.
What do you think is more important? Do you think it's more important to spend hours and hours, not to put a contrast between the two practices, but what do you think is more important? Do you think it's more important to spend hours and hours drilling on something, or more important to spend hours and hours learning a simple technique and applying it in a spar?
That's a good question. You know, I would say what makes a jiu-jitsu guy is his ability to not think when he rolls, right? But in order to do that, you have to drill. You got to drill.
So perhaps drilling until it becomes a reflex in you, and then that reflex can come out in the spar.
Exactly. And you know, if you think in jiu-jitsu, you're late. And if you're late, you use strength, because now you're going to start pushing. Right? And if you use strength, you're tired. And if you're tired, you're choked. Right?
Very, very good. Very good answer. It's almost like what Bruce Lee said, in a sense, when Bruce said that it hits by itself.
Right.
It's a spontaneous, multiphasic, reflexive response. It constantly changes.
Exactly.
And how do you see your own jiu-jitsu evolving?
You know, that's interesting, because I see my jiu-jitsu evolving in the sense that the way I'm looking at it now. You know, at first, I was a very staunch competitor. Now I think it's more important that I make my guys better. So how do I go about that? And there's been a transition for me personally with how to transition from a competitor to a teacher, you know, and how do I make each guy, because each one of my guys have different set of abilities and tools that I have to sharpen separately. So that's something that, you know, it's a work in progress, and I'm still working on it, and hopefully I'll make my guys good.
Okay. And what's your favorite memory of being taught from one of your former instructors or teachers?
I would say with Megaton, when I was in Phoenix, Megaton's out of Phoenix, so we go to Phoenix, you know, try to get there as much as we can. Well, I think it was in the middle of June or July, and I don't know if you guys ever been to Phoenix, but the heat is, you know, ridiculous. And before we even start warming up, we start doing a little rolling and stuff, I'm already drenching with sweat, right? And Megaton's a little brutal. You know, he shuts the doors, and, you know, you don't get up, and, you know, water breaks and all that, you know. So we start warming up, and then Megaton called me over to roll with him. And when I roll with him, now I would say, you know, before I go, I like to say Shane is who started me in jiu-jitsu, gave me the love for jiu-jitsu, right? But I would say Megaton has put the finishing touches on my jiu-jitsu, has cleaned it up. A lot of mistakes that I was making, as far as competitions, how to watch for the time, how to manage your time. And, you know, with competitions, this stuff is just as important as knowing an arm bar. Because what he tells me, whether you win on 2 points or an arm bar, it's the same. Right? If you lost by a point, you still go home. Right? And the guy goes on. So, you know, winning by a pass is very important. Winning by advantage is just as important, because you still win.
What's your favorite way to win?
The favorite way to win is the Ezekiel choke.
The Ezekiel?
Yeah, it's the sleeve choke.
You have to demonstrate that for us, if you would, in a little while.
I will.
Right.
I will.
Great.
Yeah,
Never
it's
heard of
my
that.
favorite choke. It got introduced to me earlier in my jiu-jitsu career, and I think I even sleep like this, you know.